Hey everyone, how's it going? So what am I working on now? Well, I got my own, well, my wife's 08 Dodge Grand Caravan in the shop. And what's going on with it is it's got an airbag light on. The airbag light is for the driver's squib, S-Q-U-I-B. That is the Clockspring. And it's got a open in the Clockspring that occurs. And what happens is it actually will throw the chime constantly. Like sometimes it won't chime at all, and all of a sudden you're driving down the road, and every couple of minutes you'll get a ba-bing, ba-bing, because it's like the chime is telling you, hey, there's something going on. And sure enough, the airbag light's going on and off while you're driving. So I got to fix that because you got to have the airbags working right. So I actually, to be honest with you, I can't remember ever taking an airbag out of one of these. So this is going to be a first for me, I think. I mean, I may have done one a long time ago, I just don't recall. So let me just show you what I'm talking about real quick. And then there's one other thing I may address. I don't know, I gotta see. If you notice real closely, you look quick. See this button here? For like the odometer? This one, for some reason, is like off whack. Like something happened and it didn't go back to apply to its push point. So I may try to pop the bezel off, but I know trying to get these bezels off these things is not easy, if I remember correctly. So I'm going to see. Once I have the steering wheel off, then I'm going to see if it's something easy to do, then I'll mess with it. If not, I'm not worried about it. It's been like that since I've owned this thing. I've had it, I don't know how many years now, but shoot, we've put a ton of miles on this thing. I bought it with 90,000 and it now has 235,900. But there you see the airbag light is on. And like I said, the code is, it's not running, that's why the other lights are on. But the code is for the driver's squib open or something along those lines. But it's basically a Clockspring. So, how do you get these airbags off? There should be an access hole at the back side of the steering wheel. I did look this up, and there's supposed to be one. Let me turn my light on, hang on. There's supposed to be one, I don't know if you can see it. Yeah, right there. There's an access hole there. Basically here, here, and here. So you got to cut the wheels and do stuff like that. So what's the first thing you do when working with an airbag? Disconnect the battery. So let me go do that. Let me open up the doors this way I have airflow in this thing. And let me disconnect the battery. But leave the steering wheel unlocked because obviously I got to rotate it. And I got to see, I think there's a special tool to release these things. I got to double check. I got to look back in the service procedure. If so, I actually do have the special tool. You can do it with a screwdriver, but I actually, because when I was at Chrysler, we used to do a lot of airbag recalls on different things. Never did one on one of these. I don't think they were available at the time. Either that or this vehicle never had the Takata airbag recall. I don't recall. I don't recall the recall. But I do have the special tool to do it. I'll show you that tool. It does make your life a lot easier if that's the tool that's required for this, but we're going to find out. All right, let me go disconnect the battery. Let me check to see if that is the actual tool, and then we're going to go from there. So here is the tool, and it is the tool it's called for, and it's a 10187. It's a Mopar tool. I believe I got this actually through Matco, if I'm not mistaken. But anyway, so what you need to do is you have to rotate the steering wheel. You know, of course, now it's a pain because the truck's not running, or van's not running. And then you have to go through the backside. It's going to be real difficult for me to film this, but you got to go through the backside because there's actually like a spring tab. You have to lift the tab up to release it, and then the bag will pop. Not pop blow, but it'll pop off its retainer. So let me start to do that, and then I'll try to show you. But for me to try to film this at the same time is just going to be a nightmare. I do want to just show you this. See how this is sitting in here? I'm going to try to get this. Let me turn the light on maybe. I'm going to try to get this behind there. And then you can kind of feel like a spot where it'll sit into. And then, there, did you just see it? It popped outward. So now I can actually get my fingers back there. So now it's the same thing you got to do in the 3 other positions. And then the airbag itself will come out. So I just got that end to pop too. So now you see it's kind of springed up there. The weird thing is my camera, if I'm back far enough, it won't allow the light to be on. So now I'm going to rotate it to the last position, like about there. And we're going to try to get back inside that hole. And we're going to try to lift up on the spring. Oh, there it goes. It just went. And that's it. So now what I'm actually going to do is let me rotate the steering wheel back around so it's straight up and down. So with the steering wheel back in that position, you pull this out, pull the airbag module out, and then you got to disconnect the harness here. What you have is, sometimes you'll have like little locking tabs, but usually it's those little end tabs there that you pinch to release, just like that. And you pinch those ends, and then it releases just like that. So now, oops, there it goes. So now you can see these metal tabs here? These are those spring tabs. And what they do is they slide over and latch into that. Follow? So, alright, not a big deal. So now, I got to disconnect this connector here. This should be for cruise control, because this car has actually radio controls on the back of the steering wheel too. So I got to disconnect this connector here, like that. This one stays with the Clockspring. So the rest of this should come out with it. So now I'm just going to get, it looks like a 13 millimeter. I'm going to unzip that with a 13. Sometimes the steering wheels will come off easy. Sometimes they won't. A lot of times too, there's a special puller that goes in here to grab them. That can be a nightmare sometimes. I've had it even with the special factory tools to where they will not pull these things off the right way. A lot of times too, once you get the bolt out, if you pull on this and have a helper, like I said, make sure the battery's disconnected. You're pulling on this, on the steering wheel, like both hands, one here, pull on it, and have somebody go with a drift in the middle and smack it with a hammer. The shock, a lot of times, will actually break the steering wheel free. So, but let me see, let me get that off and let's see if it comes out. So I zipped it with the gun. It wasn't super tight. So a lot of times, you can actually grab the steering wheel like this on each corner. Obviously I'm holding the camera so I can't do it, but you go this side, this side, this side, this side, and then it'll pop off. But also what you want to do is remember the orientation. Like right now the steering wheel is straight because these are splined. Some vehicles have a master spline, not all vehicles do. And if you look close, see it's got a dot there? The dot should line up with a mark there. And if you don't see anything, make your own. But there's a dot there. There's also like up a little higher. See that mark there? Kind of like timing marks. So let me try to get the steering wheel off and see if it'll actually pop the way I was talking about. I'm going to grab it and basically just pull this side, you know, just kind of rock it back and forth and see if it'll come off. Okay, and yes, I got lucky. It came loose pretty easy. All right, so we'll just put this down here. So now what I'm going to want to do is I'm going to take these trim covers off and go from there. See, like right now I might have room to do what I want to do here, but I got to see. So let me see about taking these trim covers off, and then we got to get the Clockspring out. From what I could tell, it's only 2 Phillips head screws here, and there might be a third one. A lot of times there's 3, but I don't see the third one. That's it. Oh, and I gave a little tug to that, and it snapped out of the dash. Somebody had glued that back in place. Like somebody had done something to this at one point in time. I know these had a recall on the ignition switch, the wind module they called it, and I bet you whoever did it at the dealer probably snapped this off and then glued it back in place. So whatever, I'm not overly concerned about it. All that does is it controls, like you could see, like estimated fuel mileage, stuff like that. Right now it's on temperature and compass, I think, and that's absolutely fine. I mean, we've been living with it like that for what, 8, 9, 10 years now. So let me see if these covers will come off. This doesn't matter about this moving around. The new one, it does matter. So let me just see if I can't get these covers off. There was a third screw, and it's actually a T20 Torx that goes up from the bottom. Let's see. This has adjustable pedals. I have to get this switch out because this whole entire thing is the Clockspring. So I got to see how the actual switches hook up. Usually the multifunction switch bolts down from up top here somehow. So let me see if I can't get this switch out, and let's go from there. And that was reasonably simple. I just moved the tab there, and then this slides out. So that slides out, it can just hang out there. Let's see. I think I got to take that Torx out, so let's take that one out. I wish I had some kind of a device to hold the camera in the car, but I don't. Okay. Now that one's out. Just more stuff holding this on. Let me see if I can't figure it out. So there is one screw back here that you can get through from up there, and there's another one right there. So let me get those out, and then, like I said, I think this multifunction switch just pulls straight up and out. Now with those two screws out, this whole thing is coming forward. So now I'm going to have to disconnect the electrical connectors. There's one right there that you can see. There, and then you got different airbag ones underneath there, and you have the multifunction switch up here, which I guess I'll be switching that over after this thing comes out. So let me get this out. So really not too terrible to this point. Now this is just a push tab. Sometimes they have a screw going in there to lock it in place. It's a push tab. You push it over, it releases a lock right there, and this should, yeah, see that? This pulls up and out. So now we're going to transfer this to the new Clockspring. And like I always say, reverse procedure to install. I usually say it without stumbling on my words. But yeah, so let's do that. Like I said, I'm not concerned about that. It is what it is. I might actually take this apart in a separate video and show you what they're actually made of. But there's a ribbon wire inside here that's wound up, and they break over a period of time. So, all right, let's do that. Let's switch everything over and let's get this going back together. Now real quick, before I put this all back together, I did put the switch in, as you see. It just slid down and latched in place right there. See this piece on here? This is to lock this, because this rotates with the steering wheel. I'll show you on the old one. Well, I'm sure you kind of figured it out, but this rotates with the steering wheel as you cut the wheels back and forth. So this allows for the cruise control to work and for the airbag to work, and anything else, horn or whatever, to be operated through this and still work all the time. After a while, the ribbon wire breaks. But what they do is with the new one has this in there to lock it to keep it from rotating. See? So once this is all in place, then you pull that out. It'll snap out, and then this way, you do that after the steering wheel is back on and everything else. This way you don't accidentally rotate it, because if you rotate it one turn the wrong way and put it in, you could break it the first time you cut the wheels. So, all right, let's get this on. So far, this has been quite simple. Okay, so that's all back together. Now, a lot of times, the screw that comes up from the bottom in the center here, the one that goes up in there, that's usually like a machine screw because it goes into the actual column itself, whereas the end screws are usually just plastic type screws. Catch that screw first, because that's the one that kind of centers the bottom cover. So catch that one first before you catch anything else. And obviously, like I've always said, if you have more than one screw, catch all the screws first, then tighten them all up. Okay, so those are all in and tight. So now I got that there. Let's put the steering wheel on. And what you got to do is you have to feed the harness through here, like so. And then, sorry, kind of difficult to do this and film at the same time. And then you're going to catch this on there somehow. Okay, there we go. So now you see the dots lined up to that point there. Now the reason too for this is it makes this piece, it makes the wire harness piece come through the window correctly. So let's get this down in place. I'm going to tighten that up with a gun, just my little 3/8 electric gun, and it wasn't super tight to begin with, so you don't have to go bananas tightening it. I've seen people over tighten these things too much and then trying to get them off later on. Whew, forget about it. Yeah, so let me just get this thing all set and down, and then I'll tighten it up, and then we'll just finish the installation. So now in all seriousness, I just used my little DeWalt here to tighten that up. No big deal. I did not torque it to any spec. So now what you're going to do is you're going to pull this. You hear how it snapped? So now everything's set. So now the clock spring will turn with the steering wheel. Insert that connector there. And I was noticing this clip is actually the incorrect clip. I'm not overly concerned about it. The other one has this kind of a clip. I mean, I can always try to just take this one off of there and then transfer it over, but honestly, it's not even necessary. So I'm not overly concerned about it being my own car. So let me just get this one off of there, and I'm just going to leave the wiring sitting in there. It's not a big deal. It's not going to go anywhere. I'm not concerned about it. All right, so let's try to do this and film at the same time and see how we make out. All right, so we're going to take the airbag, kind of get it close. These will only go into one position, and plus, if you see, one's black, one's yellow. So the black one is going to go into the black one. Let's see if I can't. There it goes. And there it goes. You feel them snap in place. So, okay, so that's good. So now, like I said, I'm not overly concerned about that harness. Many cars don't even have anything in there to hold the harness in place because it just kind of like lays in there. Once everything's in there, it's sandwiched together. It ain't going nowhere. So now you can kind of settle this thing and kind of feel where it has to go. And like right now, it's kind of centered in there, and there it goes. Nope, that's not it. It's off. Dang it. Thought I had it. Guess I did not. Alright, hang on a second, because I can't film this and do it at the same time. Hang on one second. Alright, there we go. What I wound up doing was I got the bottom kind of started in, all of a sudden I got it to click, click, click. So, you know, kind of like 639. And then it went in, and, you know, now I have, you know, the horn capability and stuff like that. So, now we're going to hook up the battery. Now, when we hook up the battery, anytime you do anything with an airbag, do this. Take your key, put it to the run position. That's run position. Why do I do that? Because when you're under the hood and you hook the battery up, let's just say something went wrong. The airbag will blow when you're outside the car. You hook the battery up, you get in the car and turn the key on, and the airbag blows off. You don't want it blowing off in your face. Accidents can happen. People can make mistakes. So, key on is for safety. Hook the battery up. Everything's good. Airbag. I've never seen one blow doing this, so just keep it in mind. It's something to be cautious of, because I have seen airbags go off in the shop accidentally from people not doing the right thing. So it can happen. I've seen somebody do it making an absolute mistake. It happens, you know. So I've seen it happen because people were careless too. So anyway, all right, let's go underneath the hood. Let's connect the battery. Okay, so real simple. Saw a spark. That's perfectly fine. I didn't hear a loud bang, so that's good, because an airbag sounds like a shotgun. That's good. Yes, you saw the terminal move a little bit. That's fine. It's actually tight. Now, airbags, the codes should clear themselves. And I got no airbag light. Yahoo! So that's good. It'll store a code in memory. However, since I had the battery disconnected, it won't. See, let's see. The cruise button works down here when I hit it. All right, so that's all good. So I'm not concerned about the radio. Wipers work. That's the important stuff. All right. High beams, yeah, high beams. Okay. So everything works, so that's good. I'm happy with that repair. So now too, she doesn't have to drive down the road and have the chime going off in her ear all the time. So, all right. Hopefully you got something out of that video. If you did, hit that like button. If you could, please subscribe. You notice down in the what's I say, comment section. Wow. Description section. You'll notice I got links to Amazon products. If you could, click on a link for me. You don't have to buy anything. I'm just asking you to do that. Clicks do help. I do get a little something out of it, so, but it does help. It's all stuff that I personally use. It's good stuff. It's stuff that's very budget friendly, and it's stuff that can help you out in your home shop, your workshop. Doesn't matter. I use this stuff professionally, and I have stuff at home too. So, it's good stuff. So, anyway, that's it. All right, guys. That's it. Time for a road trip. Got a lot coming up. All right, guys. Have a great day. Keep wrenching.